Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Jack Mitchell and welcome to another edition of Entrepreneur's Corner. You know, at Entrepreneur's Corner we try to present to you people in the community who are really making a difference, especially people who have stepped out of the ordinary traditional job and have become entrepreneurs. And we try to showcase these people so our audience can learn from the good, the bad, the wonderful, the difficult parts of being an entrepreneur. One of the things in being an entrepreneur is you tend to network quite a bit to try to get to know other people and other professionals in our community. And I had the real good fortune of networking, and I met Dr. Roundtree, and she is very impressive. So we're thrilled to have you as our guest tonight.
My pleasure.
Thank you for being on our show tonight.
Thanks for having me today.
Dr. Roundtree, why don't you tell the folks a little about your background, where you're from, and how you, a little bit of your passeggiata, as we say in Italian, your journey, if you would, to where you are today.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
So my journey started way back when I first graduated from high school. I decided to go right into the workplace before actually pursuing my college education. And one of the things I realized is that even though I may have had technical skills that could have benefited my company, what I lacked was the essential soft skills, the political know-how to really navigate and understand the expectations of my employer, knowing how to adjust and navigate through the many personalities that I encountered in the workplace. And once I started my journey and realized that I could not move in my career the way I wanted to, because as a messenger or as a secretary, you're not given the respect. Mm-hmm. You're not treated with the value that you know you may have. So I felt led to go back to school and get my bachelor's degree in business management. And that truly was a blessing, because after that, I was qualified to pursue a career in pharmaceutical sales. And I worked in pharmaceutical sales for approximately 8 years. And during my career in pharmaceutical sales, that's when I really learned what it meant to be in corporate America, what it meant to know how to navigate and be savvy when it comes to corporate politics, when it comes to interpersonal relationships, and those essential soft skills that trumps pretty much any technical skills and education that I acquired.
Say that again. I thought that's a brilliant insight. And
you know,
say that again, because
I'll do my best to remember.
That was wonderful.
I realized that regardless of my educational credibility, regardless of the technical skills and know-how that I acquired along the way, those essential soft skills, emotional intelligence, knowing how to be a team player, knowing how to communicate effectively with my coworkers and with my boss, trumped any of the educational attainment that I had. And trust me, that was the hardest. You know, going to school, and yes, that was time consuming and it was tough, especially working full time, which I did for all of my degrees. But when you come into the workplace and you have to really be able to get along and communicate effectively and genuinely and build positive relationships and networks within the corporate America, within the workplace, that was a whole other level of a skill set that I needed to develop. And quite frankly, I had to learn the hard way. And learning the hard way, and let me just say this, when I worked in pharmaceutical sales, I was really thankfully good at what I did. I was number 1 in my district. I was number 1 in the region.
Why doesn't that surprise us? Why doesn't that surprise us, Doctor?
But I say that, I mean, because I was able to build genuine relationships with my clients. I was number 2 nationally. And yet, when it came to working within the company, that was a totally different skill set. It's almost like when you're courting someone, it's great when you're dating. You know, they only get to see one side of you. That's the same way in the business world. With your clients, they only get to see one side of you, the positive side of you, because you value them and you need them to make a living and to progress in your career. But then you get married.
Yes.
And that person that you've dated all these months get to know you really. It's the same way in the workplace. You know, they're not just seeing the positive side of you. They're seeing you when you've had a bad situation at home and you don't know how to separate it from the workplace, and you have to navigate those emotions in the workplace. And you have to resist and emotionally regulate in order to get through the day. And here comes Sally Sue, who knows you and knows just what buttons to push to get a reaction out of you. And you have to learn how to control yourself, because you're not at home where you can maybe let it all out. You're in a professional environment where the stakes are high, where you can lose your job, your future, your financial well-being if you do not know how to appropriately and professionally deal with those who you come in contact with every day.
Wow.
And that was tough.
That was tough. So what?
That was tough.
So did you get education, or was it just through hard knocks and learning and
I did.
reflecting? Or?
Yeah. It was all of the above,
All
Dr.
of the above.
Jack, because I spoke to my coworkers, people who I admired, and I found out they were going through the same thing.
Mhm.
So it became a grapevine, if you will. It became a support system where all you did is complain to each other, but no one had the solutions.
Mm.
They would listen, and you could vent, and you felt better that you were not the only one going through it. But there wasn't even mentors. I had phenomenal women mentors, and they understood what I was going through, but I had to hold back a little bit, even with my mentors. Why? Because I valued how they saw me. I valued what they thought about me, and I didn't want them to think bad of me. So I really could only share but so much. And going through these trials and tribulations and seeing my family members going through it, my friends going through it, my coworkers going through it, I realized there has to be a way to help people to become more prepared for what they would encounter, especially if there's in addition to the political environment, but the cultural environment. I did not come from a background where my parents knew how to navigate this. I mean, where I came from, the way we manage conflict is if you came home running because someone hit you, your parents are going to hit you for running home because you're crying because someone hit you. So you had to learn the hard way to stand up for yourself. And that's how I learned how to manage the workplace, and it did not work. In fact, it ruins one's reputation if you do not know how to manage conflict appropriately. And I knew, and I met, and I saw that there were so many people from various backgrounds, racially, culturally, economically, who were feeling these same kinds of frustrations. And I said, you know what? I am going to get my education and become a professor and go back to school, get my doctoral degree. I was an adjunct professor for a long time, was inspired to get a doctoral degree in business because that was the only way I could really make a living as a professor. And there was always this burden inside of me that I would one day start my own business so that I could help college students, high school students, and people in the workplace to be more prepared for how to deal and solve these interpersonal dynamics that we all face, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in church, whether it's in your family. And I realized after my education, I got certified to be an image consultant, so I could learn business etiquette and protocol and how to dress and how to communicate. And then I went back to school and decided to get a doctorate in ministry. And truly, that was an inspiration from the Lord, because I thought I was in after the master's degree, let alone the doctoral degree, and then went back to school. And I knew that upon getting certified with the John Maxwell Team, that I truly found, if you will, my purpose, because I was able to marry my faith, my business acumen, and knowledge to put together a coaching and a leadership program that could really support individuals in the workplace and in their business. And of course, when you're coaching someone, it automatically spills over to their personal lives. You know, I'm coaching people right now, and a lot of times their personal lives are affecting their careers and how they manage themselves in the workplace. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that the Lord has entrusted me through my trials and tribulations, not to feel bad about myself, not to feel like a failure, but to encourage others, to help others, and to teach others how to better manage themselves so that they can attain the career goals like I was trying to do. I wanted to move up the corporate ladder. And I realized that my performance and my education could only take me so far. Just like we say in business, it's about who you know, like, and trust. In the workplace, it's about who you know, like, and trust. If people don't know, like, and trust you in the companies that you work for, you may make that company a lot of money, but if they don't know, like, and trust you, and they're the decision makers, you will not be able to move beyond that corporate ladder. So those are some of the things I am inspired to help anyone who will let me, so that they can be more prepared and not have to go through what I went through, can skip some of the career faux pas that I actually made and had to learn from. I want to teach them before they go through all of that anxiety, that stress.
Do you find that people tend to trust you? You had mentioned before that when you spoke to people that you respected, they were your mentors and so forth, but you could only be honest up to a certain point because you had to protect yourself, and you really couldn't be totally honest with them, or as totally honest as any person can be.
Right.
Do you find now, as a coach, when dealing with people, that they tend to trust you and a little more open because you're not part of their reporting structure?
Yes.
You're not going to decide whether they're going to get that raise or they're going to get that promotion.
Exactly.
Do you find that that's an area that benefits you, the relationship of not being in their chain of command, so to speak?
Yes, and not having to worry about the stake of what you're going to think about me.
Yeah.
I mean, the women who are mentors to me, I worry what they think. You know, I care how they value me and how they see me. So even though I could tell them some things, I started realizing that they're part of my mastermind. And what that means is, instead of having to go to them directly, I knew what Dr. Estella Smith would say to me. I knew she would say, Deeawn, do A, B, and C. So I knew I didn't have to go to her. Or Dr. Judith A.W. Thomas. I knew she would say, well, Deeawn, this is what I would do. And that helped me a lot, to have these kind of brilliant women who were successful in their own right, both in business and in education, ironically. I knew that I could trust the kinds of individuals who they were and know their personalities and what they would tell me to do. So that's the value of having those kinds of people who influence you. But when you're dealing with someone who's totally objective, who has no ulterior motive but to support you and to help you, that's all they want to do. And you're relatable. You're not someone who's going to look down on them and be condescending and, you know, look at them. You should have known better. You don't know better? You know, when they see, oh, you've been through this. And I'm not afraid to share what I've been through. I'm open and transparent. I wrote a book called Beyond the Boardroom, Learn How to Play and Win at the Game of Corporate Politics. And this book just provides 25 tips, very high level tips on how individuals can prepare themselves for the workplace. And anyone who gets this book, very easy, quick read, about 60 pages, they always say, I wish I had this book 15, 20 years ago.
Tell the audience one more time the title of the book.
So the title of the book is Beyond the Boardroom, Learn How to Play and Win at the Game of Corporate Politics.
Can they find that on Amazon or in
Yes.
bookstores and so forth?
They can find it on Amazon.com or virtualbookworm.com. My website is my name, DeeawnRoundtree.com. And I was even inspired to create very recently a course, an online course, self-paced, that people can take whenever they choose to. They can get to it through my website, DeeawnRoundtree.com, and they can take that course that provides even more details and more materials, assessments, and even 3 one-on-one coaching sessions, live coaching sessions with me is included in that program. Because again, it's the passion and the desire I have to help others so that they can be more successful.
Now, you said you were a professor. Are you still a professor? Tell us about what's
Yes.
going on now.
Well, my family and I, we relocated from outside of Philadelphia. 2013, it's been 8 years.
Okay.
And I started my academic career at the first HBCU in the country, Lincoln University, in 1854.
Wow.
And that's where Dr. Judith A.W. Thomas recruited me to come and first of all, to be an adjunct. They inspired me to get my doctorate of business. And relocating to Florida, I knew I wanted to start my own business. I looked into Sandler's training. You may have heard of Dale Carnegie, and was able to
names.
major names,
Major names.
But no territories
That's
were
great.
available for me as a franchisee. So I forgot I had applied for a position at one of the local universities, and they contacted me. They contacted me after a year of being here in Florida and said, you may not remember us, but you applied for a program director position for business administration and a business professor, and we want you to come in and interview. And to make a long story short, interviewed and stayed there for 6 years. And, during the quarantine, I lost a lot of family on my dad's side, 6 people.
Wow.
But during this year, this past year, it causes you to reflect on the value of life and how far you are with attaining and accomplishing the goal and the purpose that God has for you. And I felt like the Lord was really speaking to me directly and saying, hey, you got certified with John Maxwell. You just finished your doctorate of ministry in January 2020. It's time for you to go.
Yeah.
And it was because I felt led by the Holy Spirit to take that step of faith and go ahead and pursue this goal of being a full-time entrepreneur. And I left my position on March 22nd. My contract would have been up March 29th, and my employer was kind enough to let me stay throughout the contract. And even looking forward to helping and supporting them in the future as well. So I'm grateful I was able to leave there, but learned so much, learned how to utilize my leadership skills, helped so many adult students because that was the student population at the university. And now I can take everything that I've been through, learned, my experiences, my accomplishments, and my failures to help others so that they can be more successful, more effectively and efficiently in the workplace and in their business.
That's pretty wonderful. Now, so are you now full-time professional coach?
Yes. Yeah, so now at Roundtree Training and Consulting, I do full-time coaching, training, and speaking. I was also inspired recently, speaking of networking, to purchase a franchise. It's called Networking in Action. Network in Action. It's a professional networking organization that intentionally helps business owners and decision makers and professionals to acquire clients, to get referrals. And when I was pursued by Network in Action, I was baffled. I'm like, you're calling me to buy a franchise to network? I do this all the time, naturally. And I've been doing it for free since January with one of the local networking organizations. And I didn't realize it was a thing. I knew about the Rotary Clubs. I knew about SHRM. I'm certified and a part of that professional organization. I know about the chambers and so forth. But I didn't know that I could actually have a franchise that would support, provide business coaching, and really intentionally help business owners to grow their business. I did not realize it, but it was such a pleasant surprise.
It makes sense for you, doesn't
And
it? I mean,
it was a no-brainer.
Just makes total sense of who you are
Yes.
and in your calling.
Absolutely,
Wow.
absolutely. So I do the both of them, and it's such a nice marriage, if you will.
Yeah, what has been, beside getting clients, I'm assuming, what have been some of the major challenges that you've had now being an entrepreneur for the past 6 months? give or take?
Yes. You know what? You have to be rich to be an entrepreneur. I mean, it took a lot of money for me to get my website done, over almost $10,000, just to get it done. And I'm a perfectionist. I want everything to look a certain way. And they don't mind upselling you. Oh, and you need this. And then there's rules and regulations. You need that. And so before you know it, thank God it's not all at once. But before you know, you notice you have invested thousands of dollars in just a website. Then my online course. That was something I had always wanted to do and derive it from my book. Well, that's another $10,000. Like, OMG. And so, you know, the credit card debt, I was seeing that, and I'm like, can I afford to quit my job? Well, the Lord makes a way out of no way if He wants you to step out on faith. And He did. And He did make a way for me to be able to step out, to be able to have the financial wherewithal. I have good credit, thank God. I could borrow money, and I had some in savings where I could use toward my business. Marketing, OMG, it's never ending. So you have no choice but to be successful. You have no choice but to make sure you're getting clients. Because if not, the marketing alone can wipe you out.
Well, not if you work with a particular organization that I'm associated with. So
Okay.
we'll talk to you about that later.
That sounds great.
I learned personally because I did something similar, actually for my wife's business. I spent just a little bit more than you on that website, about $12,000, and it was beautiful. I mean, I was really proud of the website, but I didn't have any money left for marketing, and I realized I should have spent $2,000 or $3,000 for the website. And the rest of it for marketing, because that's really where
That's where it counts.
you can have the best website in the world,
If
but no one knows about it.
Yes.
So it's really in the marketing that you really need to invest your dollars.
It's the marketing. They say location, location, location. Yes, that's true. Relationships, that's also true. Marketing, marketing, marketing.
Okay, well, you've come to the right place.
Okay.
We're going to talk a long time after this because this is a marketing company.
Okay,
So
great.
you're going to be really happy about what we can share.
Okay.
But anyways, the important thing for the audience is,
Yeah.
isn't she amazing?
Oh,
I'm so thrilled
thank you.
that you came and joined us. Your words are inspirational.
Thank you for inviting me.
From the very first you started talking, it really was a blessing for us to listen to you. And you're going to be hugely successful because the Lord's using you as an instrument for His work.
I appreciate
So,
that.
anyone that's interested, we have all your information on the screen. And please contact Dr. Roundtree. She's genuine. She's the real deal. And so
Thank you.
if you're looking for someone that you can really trust, get some guidance from a business point of view, personal point of view, even a spiritual point of view. This lady here to my side is is someone very special. So we thank you so
Dr.
much for
Chen.
being here.
My pleasure.
We wish you nothing but the very best
Thank
and
you.
all of God's blessings to you.
I received that. Thank you very much. I appreciate
Our
it.
pleasure. And thank you, our wonderful audience, for joining us, and we'll see you the next time for another Entrepreneur's Corner.
You have been listening to and watching Entrepreneur's Corner, a talk show that interviews entrepreneurs of the Treasure Coast and gets valuable insight to the secrets of their success and the story of their business. Sponsored by T Coast Studios. Visit TCoastStudios.com.